Welcome to Aston Hall, house of Sir Thomas Holte, which was built between 1618 and 1635. Having become a baronet in 1611, Sir Thomas Holte needed a mansion that symbolized his new status. And Aston Hall would find itself at the heart of a political drama. Let's explore the Hall and find out about the Holte family's history. This is a great hall, which was a multi-purpose room that was used as a massive entrance for the guest, so the guest of Thomas Holte. It was also used by Thomas Holte, who was the owner of Aston Hall, as a place to conduct business. So Thomas Holte made his fortune as a landowner, and this room, the Great Hall, was used as a place where people will pay the rent to him, and it was also used by the servants as a place to dine. So this place was the centerpiece, basically, of Aston Hall, and a very important place where people of different social classes will come and congregate. And you may be wondering why there are people dressed in medieval time costumes. Are we traveling back in time? In a way, yes, because I attended Aston Alive Meet the Past event, and we got to explore Aston Hall with people in costume in different rooms giving us history lessons. They would explain what they are doing, and they will also say who they represent, and here you clearly have people from the medieval era. Now we are heading towards the Great Parlour, and as you can see, the attention to details around the front door and even all around the house is a constant reminder of where we are. This is the Great Parlour. This was the main living room for Thomas Holte and his family. In this room, the family would play cards, read books, write letters, and tell each other stories around the chimney. Actually, not around the chimney, because there's no chimney in this room. As you can see, no chimney. So this place must have been very cold during the winter, so they probably were sitting with a blanket around their shoulders. We will never know. The windows are massive, and there are a lot of decorative motifs all around the place. So on the wall are the portraits of Thomas Holte and his first wife, Grace Bradburn. They had 15 children together, but unfortunately, many of them died young. Infant mortality rate was very high at that time, and it didn't discriminate. It would hit upper-class households as well as lower-class households. This purple room gives a chronology of the Holte family. And when I was reading the information on the wall, I realized that the Holte family history is like a soap opera. It's a mix of The Young and the Restless, Dallas, and Dynasty in one history. You learn about betrayal, you learn about loss of fortune, gain of fortune, and we learn about the Holte family's role during the civil wars and how Thomas Holte's loyalty to King Charles I made Aston Hall the target of the parliament that was at war with King Charles. So in 1643, the parliament targeted heavily Aston Hall because of Thomas Holte's role during the civil wars. Aston Hall survived through the year, and in 1864 it was purchased by Birmingham Corporation, now Birmingham City Council, and it became the first historic building in Britain to be preserved by a local authority specifically as a public visitor attraction. In 2012, Birmingham Museums Trust was set up as an independent charity to manage the city's museum collection and historic properties on behalf of Birmingham City Council. The Holte family owned Aston Hall for almost 200 years, and like I said earlier, they made most of their fortune through renting their lands and also through the resources found on the lands. And we have now reached the Great Stairs. The staircase represents a very important feature in the house, and it is also very beautifully carved. The staircase goes all the way up to the roof, and Sir Thomas Holte would invite his guests to the roof so that they could admire the view and also admire the estates. It was a way for Thomas Holte to promote himself. Like, look at me, I made it, I'm rich. The staircase also has a subtle link to royalty because King Charles I used those stairs when he came to Aston Hall in October of 1642 on his way to London during the Civil Wars. And Queen Victoria and her husband, Prince Albert, also used those stairs when they came to Aston in 1858 to inaugurate the hall and the park. The Parliament, who was at war with King Charles I, found out that the king slept at Aston Hall, and they thought, the friend of my enemy is my enemy, so they attacked Aston Hall as retaliation. In December 1643, the Civil Wars also invited themselves at Aston Hall, and you can see the damage in the staircase. We are now entering the great dining room, and this is here that King Charles I had dinner when he came to Aston Hall on the 18th of October 1642, 5 days before the Battle of Edge Hill in Warwickshire. And you have to understand that when you have a visit from the king, you foot the bill, and the king doesn't come on his own. He comes with his friends and family, courtiers, servants, horses, and you have to feed and shelter everybody. And you cannot say no to a visit of the king because it is a privilege and also an obligation. And you cannot feed the king KFC or McDonald's. So you have to make sure that you feed the king like a king. And unfortunately, some families went bankrupt because of a quote-unquote visit of the king. And I don't think that Sir Thomas Holte was thrilled to have King Charles I in his house because of the financial cost of taking care of him, and also probably the fear of retaliation from the Parliament, which would happen anyways a couple of months later. This room is dedicated to the English Civil War that lasted from 1642 to 1651. This room is a museum of the officers' uniform during the English Civil War, and you are provided with a little description. For example, this buff coat was made in the 1640s, and it's a leather coat that officers would wear underneath their armor. The Parliament won the Civil War, and King Charles I was put to death. Sir Thomas Holte had to pay a huge price for his involvement during the Civil Wars and his loyalty to King Charles I. In 1643, when the Parliament attacked Aston Hall, he was taken prisoner, and his estates were confiscated. He was released soon after, but he had to pay a huge fine to have his estates returned to him. And that put a lot of financial strain in the Holte family's fortune. And in a way, not repairing the damage caused by the civil wars to the Great Staircase, it's a way for the Holte family to rehabilitate their name. The staircase damage is the witness of the involvement of the Holte family in history, the involvement of Aston Hall during the civil wars. So it's much so a badge of honor to the Holte family. It's pretty much a war medal. This room is dedicated to the Civil Defense 1962, and the gentleman that we've just seen will speak about his responsibility at that time in the fashion parade, which is coming soon. This is King Charles I's chamber. This is where he spent the night on the 18th of October 1642, 5 days before the major battle of Edge Hill in Warwickshire. Sir Thomas Holte, eldest son, was amongst those 13,000 soldiers who fought for the king at the Battle of Edge Hill. And he ended up being wounded and died the following year.
You can see that from there. Yeah. Just a dolly.
I would be in the fashion parade otherwise, but because she's asleep, I would sit here. So feel free to come back and ask questions. My husband will be back here later with my daughter. Can answer any questions. Hello.
I thought he was not a real baby. So I was like, he looks very real.
Yeah.
And actually, because you're moving.
She's very real, 5 months old.
Okay. She seems to enjoy it here.
She's only just fell asleep actually, so I hope
Okay.
she's going to be asleep for a little while.
So the little girl too is your daughter?
The other little girl, yeah, she's my other daughter, yeah.
Okay, you look nice in your dress.
Oh,
Looks
thank
very
you.
nice. So you're queen, which queen are you?
Elizabeth Woodville. So I'm Edward IV's wife.
Okay.
1471.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have any connection here with the house. It's
Oh.
just part of...
Okay, so you're not the... Okay.
There is a fashion parade in the Rock Gallery.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
You
going.
want to
Okay.
go and catch that?
Okay.
Back.
Yeah.
So kite is the long pointy stick thing that's about 15 to 17 feet long in the English Civil War period. This is what the soldiers would be wearing at the time that Aston Hall was under siege. Now you can tell he's an officer partly, or someone in charge of the ranks, partly because of his sash, but also he is carrying his halberd as well, which is another symbol of rank. So he's telling everybody what to do and sorting them out in the pike block. So with your long pike, you're waving about, thrusting forward, and then of course there's the other bit where both sides come together, and it's a bit like a rugby scrum, and you're trying to kick them about. So he's quite equipped, obviously he's got his sword as well, with breastplate. Sometimes they might have tussocks, which are long bits that dangle over the top of the thighs to give you protection, and he's wearing a Morian helmet on his head. Although of course, if you've got a long pike, which is about this height, that's an convenient face height for Paul Robb. So hopefully he's going to be good at dodging out of the way. Okay? So please join the line beyond we're going to jump forward in time to the mid-18th century. And in the mid-18th century, in the 1760s, out when Britain started to have the beginnings of an empire, okay, we come into combat in the Americas with the French, okay, and at this period there is the French-Indian Wars, and we have a lovely lady from here, and I'm assuming a lot, but possibly of lower status, okay, but a colonial French person, and if you want to describe, because I don't wear women's clothes that often unless it's a party, so you'll have to just fill in roughly what you've got going on there, Helen.
So you can probably tell I'm a French lady because the English wore very long skirts. The French were a lot more practical about these things. I'm out there doing all sorts of things all day, you know, even whilst I'm listening to him blabbering on, I'm busy making some cord on my lucid because I don't have time to waste. So, very busy, so yeah, I like to wear stripy things and coloured things and make the most of it, and I've got two different skirts on. One of them's hitched off at the side just to get that out of the way a bit. I've got a pair of stays on underneath here. French, occasionally a little bit lax and didn't wear them, but mostly we were still, you know, polite and nice as it is. And this jacket is called, what we call it colloquially, a bed jacket. It's just slightly less shaped than the fitted ones that you'll see in the costume further through. It's a very similar sort of thing, but it's a bit easier to make, a bit less formal. I'm nearly always going to wear a pin because I'm busy doing things again, don't want to get my clothes dirty. And conveniently, I don't have to roll my sleeves up because they're already 3/4 length sleeves. But I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a complete floozy. I will not be showing you my elbows. I will keep those tastefully covered.
Thank God for that.
Well, you know, it's very rude. I've got the head covered, not my elbows covered. Ankles, yeah, whatever. You can see that, but...
You can understand, gentlemen, how elbows can turn a man's head.
Yeah.
Indeed. So we're very, very grateful that they are well hidden away. So we have our mid-18th century from the French-Indian War. Thank you very much. Oh, you've got a face under there. Yes. Thank God for that. That's excellent. Okay. And then we're going to move forward in time a little bit to the 1850s. Okay. We have Rachel over here. Now, Rachel is one of the Ragged Victorians. Has she tried to sell you her nuts?
Yes.
Please tell me no one has bought them. Okay? Because what you will be doing is you will be fueling her habit, which is gin. She has found the gin bottle, mother's ruin. Okay, so please do not fund the habit. As you can see, she is a street seller. She is very, very dirty. Again, the pinny, alright, very, very grubby, trying to make a living as best she can on the streets of Birmingham. Alright, so very, very difficult. Obviously, you will probably have more success at Christmas selling your nuts, but alright, it's a very, very difficult life in the 1850s for the lower class. Okay, so we have Rachel from the 1850s, skirt slightly hitched, so hopefully it doesn't get too dirty on all the mud, the grime, and of course whatever the horse has left on the road. Alright, which is the other thing as well. Lots and lots of underskirts. There we are, each as dirty and as ragged as that. When was the last time you actually washed? Okay. Well, go on then, answer it. You don't know, sir. There we go, exactly. So, she's quite a grubby bean, but quite friendly as well. We're then going to move forward slightly in time to, I'm next. So, this is the Great Boer War period, so 1899 to 1902, and this is what the British soldiers were wearing when they first started going out to South Africa in that year. It was reported it only occupied 2 column inches in the time because the Boer Republics actually declared war on the British Empire, and as the Times put it, shortly after tea time. because they didn't think it was going to be a problem. And massively underestimated the system. So, cotton drill jacket and trousers, obviously for the heat, okay. Puttees, leg wraps going around the bottom, and then a pith. I said pith helmet, alright. Pith is originally a plant from the swamps in India, and then the later ones made out of cork balsa wood. Brilliant protection against getting your head burnt. Useless protection against the bullet. Okay, so whatever's in there will go out the other way. Okay. So that is from that period. And finally we're going to bring it right up now to the swinging, sorry, no, not the swinging 60s. We're going to head to the Second World War first of all. And Neil here is dressed as an air raid warden. Has anyone seen Dad's Army?
Yeah.
Yes, good stuff. Warden Hodges. Okay, so he's a little bit more cheerful. This is the style of uniform they would have had in the Blitz in 1940. Obviously Birmingham was very, very heavily bombed, and part of this museum at the time was used as an ARP post, and they were observing from fire watching on top of the building. He's got his rattle in hand there, not for cheering on your favourite football team. Anyone a Villa fan in here? Sorry, was that a no? No. Anyone a Blues fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. Good, good. Yeah. You'll do all right one day. Okay, so this is what we got. The rattle was the way to cheer on your favourite team, but during the Second World War, as it had been in the First World War, it warned you of a gas attack instead. Okay, so we've got that. He's carrying with him a German incendiary bomb that he's recently put out, fortunately. So there we go. These are the sort of things that cause the horrendous fires throughout the Blitz. The Germans found that if you send over a bomber first and bomb the place and put holes in it, then send the fire bombs in, you make the problem a lot worse for whoever's trying to deal with it. So this is the uniform known as a bluette. Just goes over his ordinary clothing, that's why it's a bit sacky. At the time, the only thing that they had officially as headgear was the steel helmet. They did buy berets, and the little silver badge was a symbol of your authority, and that would normally be worn on the lapel, but they put it in there. And then of course he's got his respirator as well, just in case there is a gas attack. Thank you very much, Neil. Now we're bringing it up to the swinging 60s. When everyone was having lots of fun and stuff, and there was some fantastic music kicking about, but there was also the threat of nuclear war. Ooh. And to deal with nuclear war, we have a member of the Civil Defence Services. Do any of you know that there was a Civil Defence Service between 1948 and 1968 in this country? No. Just to protect us in case of nuclear attack. How much protection they would have actually offered is debatable, because that's the thing with a nuclear war, there's not a lot left after you've had one, okay? But if there is anything left, this chap here from the headquarters section of Scientific and Reconnaissance, he's going to be finding out about fallout, okay? And that's not when you have an argument, that's the radiation coming over the area and depositing it all over the land. So, his highly protective gear for this is a handkerchief or a white scarf over his nose and mouth, a canvas-topped Land Rover, alright, and a pair of rubber boots.
A woolen suit.
Oh, a woolen suit as well, yes, don't forget that. And he will be driving about, heading towards the epicentre of the bomb, taking radiation readings. So have a good look at him, because you probably won't see him again. But just to make sure that he is able to find out how much dose he has a something here called a dosimeter. And there's a scale on there, and he will look on that scale to see how much radiation he has. The scale on there is relatively big, which means he'll probably be ill at the very least, if not dead. Okay? But there are various different sections of the Civil Defence Services, and Nick here can tell you a little bit about those in the hall down there. Rick!
About 60s fashion.
Oh God, yes.
Everything I'm wearing is 1930s. And this was designed in 1937. It might be 1962.
And of course, the reason we picked 1962 is during October of that year, it was the Cuban Missile Crisis, where everything went, or nearly went, very wrong. Reenactors, can I actually just have a promenade round in front of our lovely public who are paying? Come on, have a walk. They won't get you probably. Okay, come on, have a walk round. Show them what you're, threaten them if you wish with your weapons. There we go. Reenactors, this is the brief history, but if there's anything you wish to add, please dive in now and have a chat to the public whilst we've got a captive audience. You are captive because we've locked the doors at both ends, so you have to listen to the end. And there we go.
save some gym for me for later.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, these are our reenactors for the day. Do come talk to them. And remember, reenactors love to talk to you, trust me, okay? And they also love having photos. So if you want any photos of the guys, should we line up, ladies and gentlemen, and then we do again a quick photo if we wish. So any photos we can take now, well all over social media or wherever it is you want to. But thank you very much, and our next thing is at 1:30 out on the lawn, where the fantastic Raven Company will be beating each other senseless. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
This is the withdrawing room. This is the place where King Charles I and Thomas Holte would play cards after dinner and chat. Probably on that night of the 18th of October 1642, they were probably speaking about war strategy and the coming Battle of Edge Hill. We don't know. We are back in the Long Gallery, which is a huge room, 136 feet long, and this place is multi-purpose. Thomas Holte would hang family portraits on the wall and also the portraits of kings and queens. It was also used as a leisure space when it was too cold outside to exercise, to be outdoors. And this space is also the least altered room in Aston Hall.
It's not quite the same as video games, but you know, they make their own fun.
This room is dedicated to luxury fashion in the 18th century. We can see here a wide range of tea accessories because tea was very popular in the 18th century and it was enjoyed mostly by the upper class. The tea came in the form of loose leaves and was stored in caddies, and it was shipped from China to Britain. Another thing that was very popular in the 18th and 17th century were gaming cards, so popular that the government tried to regulate those games without much success, and many fortunes were either gained or lost during those games. Porcelain from China was also part of the upper class furnishing, and the design of the porcelain was modified to suit the British taste. In 1709, Germany became the first European country to discover how to make porcelain, and picturesque countryside scenes were a very popular subject in art, and they were very idealized, with rural workers like shepherds and milkmaids being depicted like Little House on the Prairie. Textiles used to make dresses were very expensive, and dresses were recycled to adapt to change in fashion instead of thrown away. They were also passed on to the next generation or sold on the second-hand market. Women liked to coordinate their dresses with their shoes, so shoes were made of textile and men's shoes were made of leather. To go outside the house, women had to wear overshoes to protect their shoes made of textile. This was the dressing room of Lady Sarah Holte, the wife of Sir Lister Holte, the 5th Baronet of Aston Hall. It is a room where she would entertain her friends around a cup of tea, read books, and write letters. I'm not gonna do that.
We're literally waiting for you.
Sir Thomas Holte had between 30 and 40 servants, and one of them was Mistress Walker, who was Lady Holte's personal assistant and woman-in-waiting. And it is said that her ghost is haunting Aston Hall. She is known as the Green Lady because she's wearing a green dress, and she also has a strong floral scent. This room is called Dick's Garret, and it was used as a shared accommodation for the servants. This attic room was named after a young boy named Dick. He was one of Sir Thomas Holte's servants, and one day this young boy was so hungry that he decided to steal a piece of bread from the kitchen. And at that time, stealing bread was a crime. And unfortunately for him, he got caught by another staff member and thrown in this attic, waiting for Sir Thomas Holte to come back home and decide for a punishment for him. Sir Thomas Holte was well known for being very angry, very vindictive, with a bad temper. And you have to understand that this little boy was so scared, was so terrified of what would happen to him, what Sir Thomas Holte would do to him, that he decided to take his own life. The thought of what Sir Thomas Holte would have been capable of doing to him was so terrifying that he decided to commit suicide. And it is said that his ghost has been haunting Aston Hall since then. This is the kitchen, and in the 17th and 18th century, the job as a cook was a male position in the upper class, obviously because they are the ones who could afford a cook. But in 1749, Sir Leicester Holte, who was the 5th Baronet of Aston Hall, employed a female cook, but her salary was half of that of her male equivalent. There was a ranking amongst the servants, and the most bottom of the barrel type of servants in the household was the kitchen maid. The role of the kitchen maid was to prepare the vegetables, to clean the kitchen, and to polish the copper cooking pots, amongst other things. And their salary was the lowest amongst the servants. This is the Butlers Pantry, who was responsible for the pantry and the cellar where Sir Leicester Holte kept his wine. The butler was also responsible for looking after the silver, the china, and the glass. He would sleep on the ground floor next to the china closet.
Never try it on because it has asbestos in it.
Oh, yeah.
You would have one of these at school with you. So
Wow,
when they're
it's
wrapping it,
What would it be? What would it feel like?
Well, it feels funny really to breathe, but it filters the air so it enables you to breathe through the gas.
it's a lot more heavy and solid than our
Yeah.
masks we've been wearing the last year, aren't they? So,
Oh crap, yeah. And you would have to carry these, everybody would have to carry a gas mask in a little package like that.
Then it's more like a mask.
In the end there, there'll be a filter. But they contain, I'm just saying, if ever you see one of these, never pick it on a market or car boot sale or anything like that. Never try it on, because the filters were made with asbestos.
But that's safe, isn't it?
This is safe, yeah, because it's been taken out, yeah.
I'll be worrying about you otherwise.
No, it's fine. This one's fine, but say that's what they would have. They'd have asbestos in there.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was the wonder material. Everything used to be made of asbestos.
Specialist people to come and take away.
Yeah.
We had some old heaters or something.
Well, this is a light.
Oh,
Okay, so that would fit in your top pocket,
nice.
and this light would clip onto your helmet. But it's not very bright, and it's just
A
direct
battery?
light. Yeah, it'd be a battery. So a battery in there, and that would clip onto the switches. That's the water. This is a sector leader, so that would cover probably 3 or 4 streets in your area. So you had a head of about 8 or 9 people in your
How would you
sector.
communicate then in terms of like, you know,
Well, you would all have a whistle
okay, oh yeah, of course.
to communicate.
Yeah, because the police have the whistles.
Yeah. So then we've got the whistle on the end there.
Nice.
I made them all look round, didn't it? And then, of course, everybody would have a pipe in the forces, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Never go fold out your pipe, and always keep your spoon in your top pocket.
Because,
In case you get hungry.
yeah.
Go away very heavy.
Fair enough.
Go away very heavy.
Yeah, anyway.
Because I have tried one on the
All suits you, that does.
and I'll go away every
Yeah, a bit later on, we'll be going outside with the stirrup pump to spray some villa fans.
Oh. Did you hear that? Granddad's all right.
I'm going outside.
This room is dedicated to James Watt Jr., the son of the famous engineer James Watt. James Watt Jr. lived here in Aston Hall from 1817 to 1848. This room also showcases commemorative items from the public opening by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert of Aston Hall and Park in 1858.
Okay, cool. So, you're an Aston. You had to travel, but you're aware of the plan. I will not be trying to change the plan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see they're just finishing off their final preparations. Please, I would beg you, for your own safety, and also do not tempt the reenactors to hit you with a sword. Please stay on the outside of the barrier, okay? Because they will go for anything. They're not proud. It doesn't matter that you're not in armour. It's irrelevant to them. Because once it starts and the bloodlust descends, all they see is swords and shields and fighting. So, I do hope you enjoy yourselves. Please, I say, do not cross the barrier. And after the fighting, round about 2:30, if any of the kids fancy playing with water, we're going to get the stirrup pump out and find out how to deal with a Second World War incendiary bomb. But first, I give you the fabulous knights and soldiers of the Raven Company!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So, our knights and men-at-arms currently preparing shortly the tournament will begin. We'll have group fights. We'll have small-scale melee. We'll have one-on-one. And most importantly, we will be asking you what you want to see. So please bear in clashes. The team that wins the 3-clash battle will be the first stage of this tournament's victor. Then we will have 4 teams. Which team wins that one will be the small team victors. And then at the end, ladies and gentlemen, we will find out which 2 fighters are cut above the rest in a pair melee championship. So ladies and gentlemen, we're just about ready to begin. Please give a round of applause for the combatants. So, who is leading our team in green?
Matthew de Balliol.
Matthew de Balliol, everyone! Sorting colours.
The mighty Robert of Exbridge!
Which team are you supporting? Will you be supporting the men, the fighting men of Robert of Exbridge? For green, and we'll be supporting the team of Matthew de Balliol. So, I'll put the flag down because I think it's blocking some people's view. But, combatants, are we ready? Audience, are we ready? The tournament begins.
Back on! Go! Go! You two, take him out!
Audience, the louder you cheer, the harder they hit. Lightly smack his face in, come on!
This one's
You're the last one standing! Right. Oh, sir! Come on, man!
Will you do it, ladies and gents? Give a cheer if you think our long night can do it.
Go on, Axbridge! Get him!
Just
Get
a
him!
bit
Come
back.
on, get him!
The team of Matthew de Balliol is victorious in the first group fight.
Can you think before?
The first fight goes to the team of Matthew de Balliol. Will the team of Robert of Axbridge win this next one and regain some shred of honour? Or will they fall again?
We're only just warming up.
Combatants! Are we ready? Yeah! Oh, begin!
Come on! Go! Get it! Oh, you wicked! Get in there, support them! Straight up! Down!
Have you has been dropped! Drop your sword! Drop it!
Okay.
Well done, sir! The battle is ours! A sneaky victory, ladies and gents! The team of Robert of Uxbridge! Right, this is it! The team that wins the next one will be our large group fight champions of today. So please, give a cheer if you are hedging your bets, hedging your honour on the team of Matthew de Balliol in green. This side of the team. What about the team of Sir Robert of Uxbridge?
Who supports my forces? It is not known to you, but I have another name, a moniker if you will. Matthew de Balliol, known as the Anvil.
The Anvil, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that went well. Boo for that. What was that? I was appalling. No booing.
Right. Let's end this. Right. Are you ready?
Come on, let's go! Overwhelm him! I have no need to face this man with honour. Take him out!
They're all ganging up on the lone man at arms. Can he do it, ladies and gents? Can he win it for Robert of Uxbridge? Get away!
Get him on the ground! Honestly.
Well fought! We have our Lord, we have our champion!
Come on, who cheers me there for that? Come on, cheer! On your feet!
Well done, Sir Robert.
I
Right,
am not Sir Robert, I am Sir Matthew.
the other one is Robert, yes.
Sir Robert looks like me, but it's not me.
You're just one point off. Do you remember what I said earlier? Do we have any requests? A one-on-one, or maybe one group of weapons versus the other? What do you want to see? Hands in the air. Right.
What do you want to see? Come on, he's giving you options.
Axes against swords.
We have actors against swords over here.
One-on-one. I'm gonna go
Request.
So, we have a bizarre request from the audience. They want to see shields only. Can we do that?
Haven't all got shields. Right. I would request then, we had a good request here for axes versus swords. Should we do shield only first?
Yes! Yes, we will. We will have axes versus swords after shields only.
Right. Those of you with shields, drop your weapon. Those of you with no shields, drop your weapon.
Ladies and gents, boys and girls, I think this is going to get messy.
This is what the audience wanted. I hope you enjoy it. Fair enough, yeah. Are we ready? Same teams or all, everyone versus each other?
Everyone for themselves.
Okay, spread out.
You with heavy shields, I am sorry. You're just going to have to improvise. Spartans, are you ready?
Let's try this!
Begin!
Go!
My shield!
Throw your helmet at him!
Where's your helmet? We'll emerge victorious! Nicholson, ladies and gentlemen!
It's all for you, audience. Remember that. It also means it's your fault. Okay then. Let's get back to a real tournament, shall we?
Right!
Come on. Go back.
Against each other will be in small group fight champions. Emerge from this selection.
We have a request over here.
Okay, let's get out of the safety zone then.
As knights, we want to necessarily kill each other. So, like we're doing here today, they are fighting to the yield. They will not be trying to kill each other. They will be fighting to hold the other one to ransom. Historically, tournaments like this would involve hundreds of armoured knights and men-at-arms. So, are we ready? Good. Let's meet the team. So, we have the team here in this corner, led by Griffith Nicholson. Give it Joel. Give it cheer, England. Cue of the star, ladies and gents. The star.
Who cheers for him? Come on.
Of course, we have the anvil. And in this corner, who leads you?
We are the two Danes!
The two Danes, ladies and gents. So, keep an eye on who you're hedging your bets on, ladies and gents. And let this chaotic part of the tournament begin. Let me go. Allez!
That's it. Ready? To me, Martins! I'll take the knight. You take the man-at-arms.
Yes, sir. Only one member left. Finish this, you two! What's that?
Run and run!
We have our winner, the team, or rather, the four remaining member of the team of the Anvil.
Slightly Pyrrhic victory! On your fight!
Right, one more request from the audience, please. One more, someone who hasn't requested before. Right, I see some hands up over here.
Helmets, I'm afraid we can't do that. They usually wear their helmets. And they're all sort of wearing helmets.
Is it toxic?
He has to win.
One of the princes in the tower says
Hey, I'll make sure to pass on the message. A request!
hands only.
Oh, we did that earlier, remember? Shields and hands only. Right, any more requests?
Swords only.
Swords only.
Yes,
Swords only, that's a good one.
I like those swords. No shields.
Swords only.
Right, one more. Oh, we have a grudge match, I think. The Anvil versus Griffith Mickelson, is it? Michael, whatever. You two, step forward, the rest of you back, please. We've got two armoured knights. You'll see they're clad head to foot, literally, in chainmail.
What are you doing?
What's he doing, ladies and gents? Oh, he's got his broad axe. And the sword. And the sword. So what will it be? The dual wielder.
No, they
versus
say swords only.
Good old trusty sword and steel.
All right.
Who cheers for Griffith Mickelson? And who cheers for the Anvil?
Sounds pretty equal, Michelson. This fight won't be.
Begin.
Yeah, that'll be faster than that.
Michelson!
Stop helping him, Axbridge.
Yes, it seems he doesn't actually need that much help to Bailey, you're quite right. Don't leave him!
And I congratulate you. Pick up your weapons. I will offer
Some
this
honour amongst the combatant parties.
Congratulations. Over here. You are well fought, sir. It is quite clearly an army must take you down. You are that formidable. And that's exactly what me. Get him! Get him! Get him! Get him!
Everyone versus the Anvil! Winning in standards! The Anvil can be defeated. He is not invincible after all. Right.
Not invincible, he thinks!
You want to put it? You come on the hose then, young man. All right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to set up your target. All right. There you go. There's your hose. With both hands, Barry. Look down the end, whatever you do. There we go. See if you knock that over. Come, Harriet. Now, for the crowd of sorts, okay? Yes. This is, you don't want to be using water after the thing had ignited, because inside, part of it is made out of magnesium. And if you remembered your chemistry lesson, when it chucked magnesium in a bowl of water, it explodes. So you'd use sand when it's in this condition, because you're about 3 minutes before it would get up to burning. Okay, and then you know, once it's started, then you can use the water. It's fine then. Well, I'll show you what I think we need to top it up. I think we need to top it up. Blue buckets in here. Let's go for that one there. Go on, keep going for a little bit longer. All right. Oh yeah, go on, go on. The harder you pump, the further it'll go. Go on. Do it well. Alright, I think it's time to be swapped over now then. Let's have a go. Go on then, you two, swap over. Go on, get some more. Come on, Alex.
Come on, Alex!
Very good.
Keep going. Well done.
Ah, good job.
Coming out. Oh wow, well done, Alex.
Work on those abs. Just giving it a shower at the moment.
Whatever you do, don't turn around and spray the adult.
Don't turn it on.
Daddy, come on!
Done.
And incendiary scoops would be in places like train stations, schools, museums, you know, and fire watchers would mainly have these. But the you can have a look at that. But the ARP also had them as well. The fire watchers' jobs were basically, because of the fire watchers here, to stand on top of tall buildings, to spot the small fires that had started out or incendiary bombs that had dropped, and then they would go and try and put them out. And the fire watchers were formed in 1941, just after the Blitz, based on the experience that they had of what had been happening with small fires that were starting these things off. So, stirrup pumps were continued to be used by the fire service for chimney fires well into the 1980s. Yeah, it's tough. And what you'd have is you'd normally have a 3-man crew. One person, if this was inside a house, at the front, and they'd be taught to lay down behind a chair, protect them from some of the heat. One pumping and then one filling. And that's how it would be. And this thing, once it's burning, once it's got up to temperature, it's about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. So pretty warm. Okay, go ahead, keep doing it.
What they used to do as well is used to drop the fenders on the tank.
Chano, where are you pointing?
Set it on fire, then the bombers would come in and find the target.
Well, actually, the Germans did it the other way around. Based on experience in the Spanish Civil War, they found that if you send in a mixed load first of small sort of 50-kilogram bombs mixed with incendiaries, the bombs will make holes in the buildings. Then once the incendiaries are inside, they cause far more problems. And the reason is, up until sort of the beginning of 1941, incendiaries like this to activate, they had to land perfectly on their nose. So what happened was, obviously coming down on roofs, because of the angle, most would just bounce off them and end up harmless. So in the early days, they would blow holes. They then developed incendiaries where it didn't matter what would happen. Some with extended bits on as well, so that when you tried to tackle them in any way, particularly with weight, with sand on top, the whole thing would just explode instead. But you're right, what would happen is, because obviously the fires were the thing, what they had across the whole of the UK in the Second World War, what's known as starfish sites. The starfish were decoys. So in open areas, in big fields and stuff like that, on the edge of cities, they'd set fires on purpose. Set fires on purpose to try and draw the bombs away. And it was the same with the Germans as well. They had the British,
What are you doing?
Don't wait! Don't wait!
The Royal Air Force in bombing at night, they would tend to go for coloured flares
because the enemy would like decoy fires. So they said ignore the fires, go for the flares. That's where you need to try and go for. But the flares were normally done with Pathfinder squadrons, so either Lancasters or Mosquitoes by the end of the war.
Okay, good.
Let's conclude this video on a romantic touch with a visit to Ladies' Holte Garden.